journal. We got a hat. It's some t-shirts, sweatshirts. Please know that there's more shirts coming. And there's PDFs that you'll be able to download. So for example, the self-care super pack, that's going to end up turning into an editable PDF and then eventually into a course. That's the responsibility that we have. Like, that's how I might not be in the front lines at every protest and things like that, but this part is what I do. I do this and I'm going to keep doing it. I can't let, and it's a responsibility to me because I can't let anybody else commit suicide on my watch as relates to me not doing what I need to do, or because I didn't make a post, or because I didn't do a talk, or because I didn't have conversations like these. It's not gonna happen.
Ideas Inspired Information Podcast, powered by Lok Enterprise. Here's your host, Braxton Holley.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a monumental moment right here. If you go back maybe 2 years ago, you'll see this same person on here, but
episode of Ideas Inspired Information, and today we have with us.
Hello, I'm Shekinah with Purpose Joy, and I'm so happy to be here. What's up, guys?
The growth that has happened between then and now is you know, it's like a mountain from a small mound to a mountain. So I just want to welcome Shekinah Joy to the show. She's been so purposeful, it's key words here, in the things that she's done, the places that she's gone, and the way that she's taking herself and her platform to the next level. If you have not yet, you know, you need to tune in to Purpose Joy, because your self-care journey will then expand tenfold. And that's what I know and not what I think. So welcome, Shekinah. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. You know, I forgot about that part too.
Yeah, you can't forget now.
That was just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, was that early pandemic or was that before pandemic?
It was early. It was early because my hair was gone then too. So that was like November of 2020. That was like November of 2020.
I'll probably throw it on the screen right now of when that was. We'll fact check you.
That's crazy.
I hope you remember, because I don't remember exact dates, but I know it was at least 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, in a sense of, it was November 2020 is when I know I cut my hair in November 2020. So it was after that, and I think it was like in that in between space,
Okay.
November to somewhere like that, either the winter or spring. I don't remember. I had on a dress though. It must have been hot.
It was definitely summertime.
Yeah.
I definitely remember it being summertime, and we were inside. But this is a nice, refreshing moment.
It is. It feels so good, and it's cozy, and there's coffee.
Yeah.
And I got on a coat. It's a nice time.
Hey, we here. Before we even get to, you referred to the coffee. How's the coffee taste?
It's amazing. It's very delicious. Is there one I'm supposed to look at specifically?
Oh, this is your camera.
Okay,
right here,
boom. So it's delicious. It tastes great. Okay.
So
thank you.
I just want to shout out Bridging the Gap Coffee Company, because they provided us with the coffee today. It's a local, small, new business that is really developing to be one of like your coffee connoisseurs in that space. So, you know, we'll drop the
I'm
something.
out the food. I'm bridging the gap.
Yeah. So.
Hi, Bridging the Gap. I see you.
I'll give you a little more information about them when we get done. But yeah, it's we work closely and, you know, just developing the brand and all that.
It's really, really good.
What's up, y'all? Tyrone Bivens here, owner of Bridging the Gap Coffee Company. I wanted to officially address you guys to give you some insight on what we had brewing. Long story short, I'm a civil engineer to an entrepreneur. I quit my job in March of 2021, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. But I knew I wanted to get into something lucrative. So I thought to myself, what's something that's unique, that can make me some money, but also relatable to my peers? Coffee. Being the #2 hottest commodity in the world behind oil, it seemed like a no-brainer. Fast forward from 2021 to 2022, it became less about the money and more about the impact. Along the way, I had a major change of heart. Learning that the farmers were receiving as little as 10 cents per kilogram was unacceptable. Learning that they were cutting down coffee trees and replacing them with food-producing plants was the last straw for me. So we partnered with Kiwamadudu Cooperative in Nidi, Kenya to set the example. Rather than the farmers selling their coffee to the Nairobi Coffee Exchange, they're going to sell directly to me. In return, I pay a 20% premium on top of the going rate. But here's the kicker. 25% of our profits are going back to the farming community, and an additional 25% are going back to who? You. With this business model, we intend to bridge the gap between premium coffee producers and premium coffee consumers by recirculating the dollar. So, stay tuned, get ready, because Bridging the Gap Coffee Company is coming to a coffee mug near you.
So, but I want to hear a little bit about you. What has happened in the last 2 years that really has transformed your life, period?
Child, okay. First of all, the first thing that came to my mind was that I quit my job, and we'll like come full circle around to that. Mm-hmm. But I think I released the reins on stuff as it related to like what Purpose Joy had the potential to be. Yeah. Sometimes we get too married to the expectation of how something's supposed to end or like what it's supposed to turn into. And what that does is like puts a cap on any other influence and potential that could happen. And so I kind of feel like for myself, that was like a major thing that happened, is like me taking my hands off of it in the sense of like, this isn't mine in the first place. You know, like this idea didn't come from me. These thoughts didn't come from me or whatever the case. So who am I to try and dictate its future? Yeah.
So I got a quick question. I was doing some research, and I don't know if what I looked up was right or wrong. Mm-hmm. Can you break down what an ALC and NCC actually is?
Okay, so Associate Licensed Counselor is, thank you for asking, because, people don't even, okay, no. But Associate Licensed Counselor it's basically like it's pre-licensure. Mm-hmm. So when you see in other states, you might see somebody that's like a pre-something or pre-this. Even when you hear about doctors, they're like pre-med and things. That's like that idea. Like you're in the process of practicing to become or to have that license in that thing. So for me, I have my ALC. It's an Associate Licensed Counselor. I have a supervisor that I work directly underneath, and I practice underneath her license. And so what will happen is once I accumulate a certain amount of hours, and you have to take a test, once you pass your NCE and you accumulate a certain amount of hours, that's when you are able to receive licensure, your LPC. So for me, in my process, I did the test you have to take to get your license. I took that like right after I graduated. Like as soon as not even after. I think it was like November before I graduated. I graduated in December. I took it the month before.
Already ready.
Yeah, so then that's already out the way. So that's where that NCC comes from. So that means that I'm a nationally certified counselor. So in order for you to get your LPC, you have to pass it. You have to have passed the NCE, and that's that national test, national exam, national counselor's exam. Okay. So that's what those two things are.
So what rights does that give you as far as like counseling people, therapizing people? Is that the right word?
I don't think therapizing is actually providing therapy services. Providing therapeutic services. Anyway,
frustrating.
What happens is I'm weak. But what happens is it could be whatever words you want because this your stuff. You see what I'm saying?
So words are really relative because everybody created words.
That's what I mean. So however you want to do it, however you want to swing it is up to you. But so as it relates to my practice, like what I'm able to do ethically, right? That means that I am able to provide therapeutic services, one-on-one sessions, group sessions, things like that. I am able to have conversations as far as like consulting, mental health consulting. That's something I'm able to do. That is psychoeducation. So that's like really what my bag is. And psychoeducation means educating people as relates to things of the matter of the mind and like mental health and things like that. That's all underneath that umbrella. So the whole self-care brand, that idea, initially it was the thought around like trying to just change the conversation around mental health in general. Yeah. But even more so than that, it's to educate people. Like that's really what my thing is. If I had to have pillars that I picked for Purpose Joy, it would be community, education, and identity. I feel like if I can give you a sense of like community, I can give you a sense of like education, and we can help you redirect your identity, we can really kind of like change the whole sauce trajectory of our culture. So so that's like, where that comes from.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here with you right now because the whole purpose of Ideas Inspire Information is to activate your mind. I often say that the mind isn't a terrible thing to waste. The mind is a terrible thing to not use because your mind can't be wasted. It's always working. The only time that you can actually qualify somebody's mind not working as being brain dead, but then if you go into different realms of like thought processes, the mind really isn't dead at that point. It's just to the outside world it would be. So I want to get into like the self-care of your mental patterns for men and women. How do those two things like coincide with each other? Because we're different humans, so we see things, perceive things, and feel things differently, being different genders. So how does that look for a woman versus a man, what are like the two biggest differences you've seen there? The mind isn't a terrible thing to waste. The mind is a terrible thing to not use. Come and join us in learning the potential possibilities that our minds possess. I'm Braxton Holley on Ideas Inspire Information. Be a part of our solutionary community and connect with us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Looking forward to seeing you there.
So, great question, but I'm going to preface this by saying that what I've learned, I never fully understood like the whole spectrum aspect of us and our experiences and how impactful gender roles have to play as it relates to men and women, as opposed to specifically the gender you're like assigned, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But what happens is I think that there's an expectation. It's almost to let me see, how do I put this? The expectation to perform as blank. So when you're a woman, based off of what your social background is and like encounters and things like that you've had, there's an expectation to perform as blank. And so that might be an expectation to perform as a mother, an expectation to perform as a nurturer, an expectation to perform as an independent person, somebody who's independent, an expectation to perform as somebody that's submissive. So those things play like an ongoing thing. The same thing happens for men, though. There's expectation to perform as blank. So expectation to perform as a provider, expectation to perform as as someone who has it all together, expectation to perform as a rock, like where nothing can break you. Those things. And so the danger of that, and again, gender is such a huge spectrum and things like that around in so many different areas and avenues that you could take with that. But it really is dependent upon that person's expectation of themselves or how they're supposed to show up based off of how they identify. Mm-hmm. And so the complicated part comes into, one, you have to give a person room to explain how they identify. You might be a person that identifies as male, right? But that definition for me and that definition for you could be something completely different based off of how you were brought up and all those other kind of things, all those other influences. So what a bigger part of any of it is to allow people the space to explain their identity and allow people the space to explain, well, this is their perspective. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then after we kind of understand that part, their perspective, their identity, then we can kind of get to a point of like, okay, so I see where you're at. I can gauge that and we can go from there. But it's not, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that its root, despite gender or gender identity, it's a matter of how they perceive themselves and then making sure that you're taking practice to allow people the space to grow from that part, from that space. I can't assume that because you're a man, you're not in tune with, you're a man, you're not in tune with your emotions. I can't assume that. Yeah. I can't assume that because you're a woman, you are very in tune with yours. I can't assume that. I have to give you room to like show up in whatever way you identify, and then we kind of go from there.
Okay. So, me personally, I've been told that I'm sometimes emotionally unavailable. Mm-hmm. And so as my current counselor, Shekinah Joy.
I'm not, but okay.
We are now. How would you diagnose that? Maybe not even diagnose, but how would you kind of break that down for me personally, as far as having a conversation with you and being able to, open up a space where I can explain the type of things that I do or the ways I act as a person.
Okay, I love this. And I love this because I think that this is the part this is why we do the Super PAC thing in general. I think there's this big gap between like, okay, I know that there's something that's like a disconnect for me, but I don't know how to explain it. Or I know that there's something that people are seeing in me, but I don't know how to explain it to somebody else about what that might be. Yeah. So what I would do if I was in that space, or if this was like a situation where someone's coming to me and telling me they're unavailable, I will ask them, well, when's the last time you felt like you were available? When was the last time you can identify that you were actively open and ready to talk to, or open and ready to share what you were feeling, right? Mm-hmm. And then we'll kind of go backwards from there. But it's really to each its own as far as like what that therapeutic practice is. I studied this guy for my, let's see where I started. Okay, so theories class, you gotta take it, or whatever the case when you're getting your master's in counseling or doing counseling, right?
Yeah.
And so in that class, one of the things that we discussed was this man, his name is Carl Rogers. And Carl Rogers is really like a huge foundation for my practice in general. And he talks about this thing called unconditional acceptance of self and unconditional acceptance of others. His idea was like, if I can provide those type of spaces where people feel unconditionally accepted, then we can build from there and get that healing process going. So in reference to what you're saying, if you come into a space in that therapeutic process with whoever your person is, right, and you share with them what's going on, the more open you are allowed to be and the more accepted you are at whatever space you're at, then that's how we can build and get you to a place of better understanding and help you start to implement new habits, traits, and things like that. Yeah. But you have to be in a space with someone, and you yourself have to be in a space of like unconditionally accepting yourself and being unconditionally open enough to share those things. So like when we want to deep down get to the root of like, why do you feel so unavailable?
Well, I didn't say I felt unavailable.
I'm just saying generally speaking, if you want to get to the root of someone feeling that way, they have to be in a space enough, number one, to identify that that's what's going on. Like I point that out, like this is what I'm experiencing, this is what's happening, and not being able to discern, which is a bigger part, that is it somebody else's emotions or somebody else's feelings that are projecting this now label on me because I'm a man trying to have a conversation and the assumption is that I'm unavailable. So now you're saying because I'm not responding the way you want me to that I must be emotionally unavailable. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's that part about it too. There's so many different, you know what I'm saying, different ways that you can do that. Yeah.
It's everything for me, like, it's perception. I'm a pretty cool, calm, collected person in any situation, just based off, you never know what's going on with somebody else.
Right.
You don't know why people would be acting or doing a certain thing based off something that has happened for them or with them. Mm-hmm. And with that, I feel like a lot of people overreact to things sometimes without taking a moment to say, hey, if I was in this exact same position, would I be doing or thinking the same type of way? You know, it's always two sides to something. It's never one side to anything.
Right.
And so if you just take a moment and understand the opposite side of where you're coming from, you'll be able to empathize. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Empathize with the person on what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. I do want to I want to slow us down just a little bit. It might be a little too heavy. But if we go into the Self-Care Saturday brunch and Self-Care Saturday lives, what's that structure look like, and how can people, be a part of that?
To be 1,000% honest with you, this thing has taken on a whole life of its own type of thing. So it just depends on what Saturday you decide to come. I can't, even if I tried to explain to you what it would be like, I can't, because the Self-Care Super PAC had a completely different energy than our reset mixer we had in 2020. The Self-Care Saturday events that we have at NCC Health Club have a completely different energy than I'm sure what the event Saturday at the Museum of Art is going to have. The people make the space every single time. So only thing I could tell someone to do is to come with the energy of, I want to give and add value to this space.
Yeah.
And if your energy is, I want to give and add value to this space, you'll leave feeling heard, you'll leave feeling a space of community, you'll leave feeling educated, and you'll leave feeling like you know yourself.
So with that being said, what are the different activities you have? The Super PAC, the at NCC Health Club, what are each one, and what are the goals?
Okay. I got you. You ready?
Yeah.
It's a journey.
Let's go.
Okay.
Hey,
all right. So boom.
Let's get comfortable.
That's what I'm saying. Get yourself ready. Stuff yourself in. All right. So, okay. So boom. I'll start with the Super PAC because that's the most prevalent thing. So the Self-Care Super PAC derived from me having several sessions with clients and realizing that there's 4 different things that kept showing up. First thing was cognitive distortions, and that's like distorted thinking, like thinking about, if you think of it in a way, like say you got glasses, but there's like a spot in them, and they won't allow you to see things the best way that you can. That's like what a distortion looks like, or shows up in your thought process, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's imposter syndrome. That's the idea that whoever you are, wherever you are, like you're not really equipped, or you don't really belong in this place, and things like that. And so that can turn into you not trying things, not wanting to, like if you were an actor or something, you don't want to audition because you don't think you're good enough for the role. Or if you're an entrepreneur, you don't want to try to fight for a raise or fight for a new position at your job because you don't feel like you're good enough for that role. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So all those things. Then there is a conflict resolution, which is like people typically, conflict can stop complete relationships. You'll throw the whole thing away because you don't know how to handle conflict or don't understand that conflict isn't bad in the first place. And then lastly, there's the basic idea of self-care. People don't know themselves because they don't get into a space of self-care, and because they don't know themselves and can't lean into that, then they can't like grow from that, right?
Yeah.
So the self-care super pack is really like a VIP day, if you will, where it's like me and you one-on-one going through all these different things. It's about 4 or 5 hours of this in-depth, deep dive, one-on-one thing where we can have a conversation about the stuff as it relates to you and give you tools to help you combat them. And then it's like almost a resource too for you to have a conversation with your therapist or any of your mental health professionals so that you can get the extra support you need in these specific areas, right? So that's the super pack.
Okay.
And the super pack kickoff event, which is what you came to and things like that, that was a preview, if you will, to help people understand what these things are, understand why self-care is important, and to really get people in the habit of talking about those things. So that was that. Super pack. Got it? Any questions
Super
about that
pack.
one so far?
No, I love the super pack.
Okay.
I love all of them.
Bet.
Cause
you down.
Yeah.
Cause you with it.
I'm
Cause
here
you
with
feel
you.
with it.
You
Okay.
already know it.
So that's the self-care super pack. Then we have self-care Saturday events. So self-care Saturdays are typically hosted by myself and Allison Johnson, who's a physical therapist. We have conversations around mental health, basic self-care, and things like that. And so it's a lightweight way of going through like a specific topic. So the next one we're doing is going to be focused on imposter syndrome. She has a great story as it relates to anxiety and how she combated anxiety and went to school and has been killing it. You see what I'm saying, as far as like her getting her doctorate, but it can be really intimidating for someone to pursue those things if imposter syndrome comes and gets you, right? So having a conversation around that is what that self-care Saturday event is going to be like. But self-care Saturdays are more like a intimate, very, very intimate setting. Typically it's not more than like 20 people. 10 to 15 to 20. Usually that's how that starts. But this is self-care Saturdays is how this whole entire thing, you know,
I remember.
started. So then there is self-care super pack, self-care Saturdays. There's, of course, I have a whole other space of like basic talking engagements or whatever, or speaking engagements where people will like come and ask me to have a conversation about a specific topic. So that's a thing. Then there is one-on-one sessions, of course, group sessions. If you have like a church group or a youth group or a women's group, men's group, whatever the case, you need somebody to come and talk to you about self-care, cognitive distortions, imposter syndrome, or conflict resolution. I pull up for that, right? Then there is, lastly, all the stuff we do online. So that's the Self-Care Saturday Lives, which we do them sometimes, but not as often because she's been in, Allison has been in school. So since she's been in school, I've been trying to, like, you know, finesse around another way to do those things. There's Make It Happen Mondays. On Mondays, where we talk about the goals that we want to work on. And then on Thursdays, there is the Stress-Free series where we talk about, like, what caused us stress this week, how can we manage it, and kind of go from there. But that is all the stuff.
The self-care catalog.
That's it. That's it.
A to Z.
That's it. Not including the products. I'm sorry, I forgot. So there's a self-care journal. We got a hat. It's some t-shirts, sweatshirts. Please know that there's more shirts coming. And there's PDFs that you'll be able to download. So for example, the self-care super pack, that's going to end up turning into an editable PDF and then eventually into a course. This is just going to keep
growing.
Yeah. Can't stop, won't stop, like Diddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question. How can we join like this purpose joy journey and be a part and just continue to support the growth and do business with? I don't like the word support in the structure of our community because you can easily support somebody. I can repost your stuff. That's support.
Right.
But until you start doing business with, you have not truly supported the movement of a person. Until you choose to, you know, do business with someone, that means you are in a place of
partnership, maybe.
Not even so much partnership. I do like that, but more in I am a advocate of your brand and the things that you're doing. So for you to doing business with is simply I saw you were doing the self-care super pack. You had to pay to get in. People don't want to pay to just go to something and listen. No, I'm going to do that because I do business with you. I don't just support you. I easily support you. Yeah, we know that.
Right.
So I feel like our community needs to do a better job of doing business with people because if you start going into your house and to your car and to your closet, you look at who you do business with and you spend more money with somebody you never known versus people that you talk to every day.
Right.
So I think we should do a better job as people of doing business with the people that are actually doing and making a difference in our communities, such as you, because like I said, the mind's a terrible thing to not use, and a lot of people aren't using their minds for what the vast number of things that we can do nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like we got computers in our hands, and you can make hundreds of $millions with this computer in your hand versus 15 years ago, we were in a place where we had to go out and get it. Like, you had to literally go out place to place, door to door, and then just, you could look up something and say, hey, I want to call you right now, and do that. So, how, is there something you could say to inspire somebody to say, hey, let me get out of my funk and go do, versus looking, seeing, and being such a consumer, and begin to be more of a producer?
What's up, family? Antoine Williams here, and I'm the host of I Am Devoted podcast. And I just want to introduce myself to you. Listen, my show, I Am Devoted podcast, is all about making biblical truth accessible to the believer who is living a devoted life as a disciple of Christ. Listen, if you are that believer and you need somewhere to tap in, you can find me on all social media platforms. I am on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I am on TikTok. I can't wait to see you there. All right, y'all. Go in peace, family. I love you.
So, what would happen is if you were someone who you were like, okay, yeah, how can I support Purpose Joy? How can I support Shekinah, what she's doing? So number one, and I think I need to lean into doing this more, but donations is something and stuff like that. Like there is like, we have to cost money to operate, like everything from our website to like the different platforms that we use and things like that when we have events, all it's cost money to operate. So that's the thing. If you ever want to donate, that's always an option. But then number two, referrals. Maybe you don't need a service right now, or you don't think you do, but referring it would be a lot.
Know someone.
Yeah, you might know someone. Excuse me, and I think people like kind of sleep on that aspect of it. And then number three, I would say pull up or reach out, or just let like the support as it relates to, like, if you come to an event, or even if you can't come to an event, buy somebody else a ticket or something like that. That's something that's helpful. As it relates to you personally, and you're getting up and going, and you're being able to do something, or being inspired enough to do something, you have to understand that at your core, you're valuable. There's something that you have that's valuable that nobody else can take away, right? And it's like, I think the bigger issue sometimes is that people don't understand that part. They can't see, can't find, can't get to. And that's where that whole process of your therapeutic journey goes. That's where your self-care journey goes. So you can figure out what that thing is. There's something that you are here to do. There's something that you can do to add value to a space. There's something that you can do that specifically has your name on that no one else can take from you. And so if you allow yourself to really deep dive, take inventory, figure out what that is, and push that thing forward, you can change your life and the life of all those people connected to you. And it literally is never about you.
Yeah,
you think it is. You think that this journey is, and you think this process is, but it's literally has nothing to do with you, and has everything to do with every other person connected to you. Your nephews, your cousins, your nieces, your kids, your husband, your wife, your friends, whatever the case. You never know how a ripple effect from an encounter with you and you doing what you're supposed to be doing can impact the rest of the people around you. And I think that's like a thing that we miss. We miss the fact that, like, no, you have a job to do.
Yeah. Not to cut your wisdom there, but people forget about service nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's how you get anything done or connect with anybody. People connect based off of not only the service, but the aura that is them. And I wish I had some type of pinpoint nature of saying what has happened, and it feel like it's happened more in the last 10 years, more so than the last 100. It's just a disconnect in people. Mm-hmm. And personally, I'm big on, like, it's in your mind. Like, you gotta rewire yourself in a way where you can say, okay, I'm not gonna make this choice, but I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna be in a negative space. I'm gonna be in a positive space. Mm-hmm. Just like I was saying, it's two sides to every coin. Mm-hmm. So as far negative as you can be that far positive by just flipping that switch. But that takes time as far as like growing as a person, mentally, choosing to be more disciplined, choosing to be more consistent, and making the choice to be in a positive space. And anytime I'm around you, like I'm never really in an positive or a down space, but you help that energy that I have even expand because you have it. Every time I see you, smiling face. I'm not gonna say you loud, but
I am loud. It's true. I'm loud.
you at the highest level of being you, and I love that. I can sit and talk to you all day, which we probably don't have all day, but I do want to get into what burning desire in you moved you into this space, this journey, this dedication of helping people be more self-aware, developing their mental health, you being a counselor, all of that. What pushed you in that direction?
I mean, God, first of all, but like God in the sense of like I felt disconnected because I didn't know what I was doing or what I was here for. And I know how empty that feeling can be. And I know how disheartening it could be to be trying stuff and it not working and you don't know why, and how disheartening it could be to like see that you know you're like a good person and you know you want to do something good but you can't figure out how or where it's supposed to come from. And then like that frustration and knowing that like, is this it? Is this like the cusp of my like is this really what
this life?
Yeah. And I don't know, I just remember like I had dropped out of school at that point and I was really trying to figure my stuff out. But then
That's new. I didn't know that.
You didn't know?
Nah.
What?
Nah.
Story time real fast?
Yeah.
Okay, so boom. Circa 2000.
Okay, let's say, are you talking about like college?
Yeah.
Are you saying it was drop out or take a break? Because I think there's a difference when it comes to college. High school, you can drop out. You can take a break from college.
The advisor that I had, which was the third one I was on, my advisor that I had told me college wasn't for me and I should probably drop out. And I listened to him and I dropped out of school.
I have never heard anybody say that.
And I was out for like 2 years.
Wow.
And so I'm not gonna do that man like that. I'm still working with God as far as like how I need to handle that whole thing because.
Quick side note. In middle school, I had a teacher tell me, I don't think I was doing anything crazy, but she told me that she gonna see me on the news dead if I keep doing the stuff I was doing. And I wasn't on nothing like, outrageous, but when you're in middle school to tell somebody that, like,
it's crazy.
That's a real malleable time in life.
Literally, yeah.
And that's, like, out of everything in life, that's one thing that's always stuck with me. I was like, okay. And it's like, oh, white lady, but
that's how I be. Okay, so I mean, but that's how I be. But anyway, so and this man, and it was a black man that told me this too. Which is another part that kind of like struck me and stuff. I had just lost my dad not so long before then. It's like it's not like people don't understand grief, how impactful grief can be and stuff. Like all this stuff I didn't know at the time though, because this is before I have this knowledge of these things, and so it's like to know that there's another side out of that. I remember how depressed I was. I remember how low I felt. I remember all that stuff. And then to figure out that there's something else on the other side of it. Right now it's lit. And I thank God that I didn't quit on myself. You see what I'm saying? And then throw the whole thing away. And then like now that's really the momentum because or momentum that you're talking about, the fire and things like that, is because I want other people to know that this exists, that there's another side out of that. Like there's something else. The more you understand yourself and get equipped with what knowledge, what language to use and how to communicate what your needs are, and the more you get more equipped about like even your purpose alone, it can be the thing to propel you forward out of anything, Yeah. And so like that's really why. That's why. That is literally why. Because other people need to know that that's possible. It's too many people. The suicide rate is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. It's terrifying.
It's a lot of things. And I definitely clarify that with you. When you're in a good space, unless you are looking or paying attention to the stuff that's going on in the world, you don't even see it. Like, I don't watch the news at all. So for something to happen, I have to be told. I have to just see it maybe on Twitter or something. But I didn't feel like as much as going on in the world right now was going on until maybe like the last 3 months. I was like, oh, that's happening. That happened. This, and it's just because I've been in my own place, my own space. Like, if your energy isn't even near where I'm at, I'm not around you. If you're not going in the direction that I'm going, well, you have to stay there till you catch up, because it's too many things along your journey that will and can and try to distract you. And for me to learn that you dropped out, and the journey that you've gone from, and then just simply from that 2 years ago to now, you know, it's oof.
Discover yourself, embrace it, and unlock the potential within. This is the I Am Courtney Chandler podcast, streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We shine a light on people who are making strides in the community and making our world a better place. And we discover the I Am, embrace it, and we unlock the potential within. Follow us on social media. I Am Courtney Chandler podcast on Instagram and on Facebook.
It's a night and day situation, but it's the fact that there's people.
Make me want to do a little dance.
Anything can happen, though. The thing, and people, it's the reason why depression is so terrible, and anything with your mind is so terrible, is because it will make you believe that this is it. This is all there is. Like, literally, this is the stopping point. And that's the thing, that's not the case. It's not the case. There's always something else afterward. If you stay in the fight long enough to get there, too many people are leaving the fight before it's time to get there. And that's the part that has me convicted in my spirit that says, no, Shekinah, you need to go do your job. Every time, even as it relates to having young black girls and boys in school not feeling like they are worth anything, not feeling like they can do anything, having our people killed and things like that on national television, having people taking their own lives and things like that, now you see they look just like us too, so it's not like we're exempt from the mental health fight. You see what I'm saying? Like, having all these things happen, it's like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Use what's in your hands. Use what God already gave you. There's a reason why I have this. There's a reason why I'm doing this. You got to use what's in your hands. And I feel like that's the responsibility that we have. Like, that's how I might not be in the front lines at every protest and things like that, but this part is what I do. I do this, and I'm going to keep doing it. I can't let, and it's a responsibility to me, because I can't let anybody else commit suicide on my watch as it relates to me not doing what I need to do, or because I didn't make a post, or because I didn't do a talk, or because I didn't have conversations like these. It's not going to happen.
Do a little dance.
With the dance.
Oh.
I'm weak.
All right.
What up, y'all? I'm your host, Juice Man Jay.
It's your boy Drew D, the word man.
And it's the one and only Jewel. And you're here with us at Studio Life After Dark.
Man, Studio Life After Dark is the hottest podcast in the city.
We the opinion of the people, man. We the opinion of the people, man. We really just putting it out there, man.
And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Studio Life After Dark.
Man, y'all can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and also YouTube.
Hello.
As we roll into, like, understanding the things that you have to do to grow that, you do YouTube. We're back in, of course. As you do YouTube, you do your self-cares, the whole catalog. Hey, y'all, tune into the whole catalog. And from merch to the ebook, you have done everything you needed to do. Now it's just allowing the multiplication of it to come, to be able to sit back and say, hey, all I had to do was my part, and the rest, honestly, the rest is already done.
Yeah.
It's just waiting on you to step into the shoes, sitting at your door, and go out and do your discipleship.
Yeah.
Because without that, I mean, you know, it's a reason to say faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
It's like praying with no execution is worthless. So how can we sit and pray, and then turn on ESPN, turn on HGTV, watch Real Housewives? They doing what they supposed to do.
I got to get out here and go get it.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
No, I don't know what's going on Netflix. I hadn't watched the show. Have you? No, I haven't. Because it's something that I'm doing that's bigger than me. And so me taking my time out to do those things is taking blessings away from other people that I'm here to bless.
That's so crazy. Let me tell you what's so insane. I was looking in the room at Polaris, right, when we did the thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how, like, a
Self-care
good...
super PAC. You can't call it the thing.
You're right. Self-care super PAC. You're right. My bad. Correct me. Get me together.
SCSP.
I was there.
Yeah.
It was a
lit.
thing. It happened. But I was looking around the room. I was looking at people. It was people in there that I've known for like 10 years and stuff like that, 12 years. People I've known since birth, like my mom and them was there. But then there were also people that I literally just met. And I just met you like the week before. I just met you in the last month.
Yeah.
Right? But you still were able to get the fullness of this experience and stuff like that. And you added so much value to the space. And it kind of helped me understand even that too. I don't know who I'm ever talking to. My pastor said it all the time. He's like, you never know who you're talking to. I don't know who so I have to take my actions, what I'm doing, even more seriously now, because I don't ever know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
But then it's like even more so than that. It's like, what if you would have quit? You wouldn't even know these people. You wouldn't even be in these spaces. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, the keep on keeping on.
Literally.
That's what they meant when they said keep on keeping on.
Said.
You like, keep on keeping on. But, you know, the beauty of time allows you to understand things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, parents tell you so much when you're younger, and you're like, okay. But until you get older and are in the space of understanding those things, they don't make sense.
Right.
And that's why it's so much information in books, because it's like the journey or the experience that somebody has, you know, already gone through, they're allowing you to surpass that at a faster rate. It's not saying you're not going to go through it.
Right.
Or to, you know, just skip that. You understand what you need to do faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you just got me so full right now. Got me full. Might need to go and take a run. So lose some of this weight you done put on me. But yeah, Shekinah, I don't even need to talk to you about nothing else today.
Okay.
That was good. That was good.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, y'all tune in. Purpose Joy, Shekinah Lee. Just what else do they need to know about?
The Purpose Therapist, okay? That's on Instagram, Purpose Therapist, Purpose Joy on Instagram, Purpose Joy on YouTube, Purpose Joy on Facebook. Yeah, all that good jazz. And there'll be more. There's going to continue to be more and more and more and more and more. Can't stop, won't stop. Got to get it. Yeah.
Back to our dance.
It's important.
That was good.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all next time.
Hey, it's Shekinah, aka The Purpose Therapist, and I just got done with an amazing interview with the Braxton Holley and Ideas Inspire Information. This was an amazing conversation. We got to the root of some things, but I think what I took away today is the power of relationships and friendships and sincerity in them. I think authentic people attract authentic people, and that's kind of like what type of energy we have here today. Y'all can't see him, but DJ over here too. And it was really just a really good conversation. I'm honored to be connected to such amazing people who really, really want to bring value and inspire others. So y'all tap in and tune in, and make sure you guys continue to support Ideas Inspire Information.
I tell you, anytime I get to like just be around Shekinah, it's a memorable experience. Like from the first day I've met her 150 years ago to like now has been top tier. Like her as a person, she keeps you on your toes, she keeps you smiling, you got like a warm sensation in you anytime you're around her as a person. But the things that she's doing like in the community, the story that she's come from, me learning things that I never knew about her today was really something that you had to pull out of people based on good conversation. And y'all know what we do here. The mind is a terrible thing to not use. So using our minds to really break down how people feel in order to get the best out of them are some of the things that we got to do as people, just to improve not only ourselves but the people around us and the people that we have not yet met yet. So I'm glad to have been here with Purpose Joy, Shekinah. Make sure y'all tap in, follow on our social media platforms, do business with, just don't support, do business with. If it's something that she said today that's going to move you in the ways you need to go, hey, look, it's only a click away. We walk around with computers in our hands, so yeah. See y'all next time.